Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 replay cast. This is going to be one that I'm excited for. I'll admit it, guys. I was thinking of maybe casting another Polt versus Supernova replay, and you guys really liked that last one, so I'll probably do that at some point. However, I found another very exciting match to watch, which I think should be a great match, already with some wholesome chat going on there. It's going to be a Terran versus Zerg, just to change things up a little bit here. And the map is Port Alexander, and spawning down in the bottom right-hand side of the map, it's DeMusliM, aka the Devil Terran. Been around a very long time, and these guys go back. Spawning up the top left-hand side of the map, it's Gamers Origin Stephano. So for those of you that are a little unaware of these guys, they were actually like on a team. I think it was EG before I was following StarCraft 2, like years before I was following StarCraft 2. And to my knowledge, they're like good friends and whatnot. And yeah, they're both just such awesome players. And I think this should actually be a very close and exciting match, as a matter of fact, because Stephano, he's a very talented player and very good, but he doesn't necessarily play all the time. Whereas DeMusliM, he's also he grinds a lot and plays a lot, but never really reaches for being at that high pro, or at that like high pro level. So I think it should just be like a very standard high level match between these two. And I thought, all right, I saw this and I thought, right, I got to cast this and see how it's going to go down. It's a pretty recent replay, and it's also been over a year, or almost a year, since I cast Stephano. It was just at the end of summer last year when I cast him. I thought, have I ever cast Stephano? And no, it just turns out it had been a while since I'd cast him. So excited to watch these two players go at it here, and we'll see how they're going to play it. If I had to take a guess, Stephano's probably going to play pretty defensive. Either that or make a lot of Zerglings. It's usually no in-between with him, but he does like his same Mass Queen style. Like all the other European pros were adopting that style at the start of the Legacy of the Void. Stephano, a little bit later, moseyed on in, and he's like, hey, this is pretty cool, I'm going to do this. And everyone's like, Stephano, that's not the most common thing to do anymore. And he's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to turtle. I'm going to play the late game. And he does that in TvZ quite a bit, to my knowledge, from the games that I've seen of him anyway. Now, DeMusliM just playing it safe, going for his Reaper, then getting a Marine behind it just to be safe from, say, an early Tool. Of course, that was not the case. Now he's going to micro this Reaper, picks off one Ling. Those Lings almost got on that Reaper, so got to be careful there. Just picks off one Ling. That's pretty much what a Reaper can expect these days. I feel like it's just been so long since I've paid close attention to the early game TvZ Reaper. We can never forget the true work that an early game Reaper puts on in. DeMusliM scouting out. Got to be careful with that guy, though. Keep him alive. Let's see, DeMusliM looks like he probably is going to be going into Hellions, so that's also, if you're not making, say if you're not making Hellions, you might just sack the Reaper. You might just be like, whatever, it's not too important. It's a pain, it's an extra unit I have to control, but when you're making Hellions, the Reaper does tie in nicely with those, so you generally want to keep that Reaper alive, keep him extra safe here. Oh, these Queens shooting away at him. This poor guy, he's taken a beating. Fortunately for him, he gains those, gains that life back thanks to that fancy combat drugs. And okay, let's see how this game's going on now. Stephano pretty much just droning up. Nothing out of the ordinary here. We'll see if Stephano is going to throw up, say, maybe like a safety Roach Warren or something like that. For now, though, he's just going ham on his Queen production, getting out metabolic boost. DeMusliM, on the other hand, though, he is going for that Cloak Banshee play. So a very standard opening from the Devil Terran. And let's see, these Reapers, or Reaper and two Hellions poking on in here. So far, though, Stephano just happily droning on up here, nothing out of the ordinary. We are seeing an Armory come out of DeMusliM. He picks off one of the drones with the Hellions. That's a bit of a nice find. Gets bruised on one of the Hellions a little bit. Picks off a drone, though. Nice. Might throw your opponent off guard a little bit there. We are seeing DeMusliM, though. He is throwing up that Armory, so it's going to be that Hellion Banshee, or Hellbat Banshee. That's what the Armory is for. And that makes Zerg really have to have a definitive response to this kind of push. As, basically, if it's just like Hellions poking, it's like you make some Lings, you gotta prevent them from running on in. But If you don't have enough to stop those Hellions when they go full Autobots and transform into Hellbats, you are in a lot of trouble. Now here comes in DeMusliM, trying to pick off Creep Tumor, doesn't quite get it. That's the one in which you try and toss the Reaper grenade to pick it off and finish it off. For now, the DeMusliM is just focused, getting ready to go for that big push. He's even getting up vehicle plating. For now, though, it is all about this attack he's going to be going for. Maybe waiting for Cloak. He's got that in now. And here we see DeMusliM. He is poking and prodding. He's got a third command center behind this. However, he seems not to be making the choice to actually transform to go into those Hellbats. So he's just playing it passive for now. I was waiting to see how Stephano would handle an attack like this, but DeMusliM, he's going to make us wait a little bit, it would seem. Just bank up a ton of Hellions, perhaps. And we'll see if he's going to go for it or not. Yeah, he's not transforming. He knows Stephano has queens for days. There we go. Now he's transforming. Was waiting for the second Banshee. As I say that, now can Stephano hold on? He does have a lot of queens. Like, this is a lot of queens, guys. This is a Stephano amount of queens here. The Hellbats, they're trying to do what they can, but they are so slow. DeMusliM parks the Banshees out of the Spore Crawler range, or as I say that, not quite out of the Spore Crawler range, so they almost get picked off there. The Hellbats are running into the natural awkwardly, but they can't chase these drones. They are slow, waddly boys here. These Hellbats are chasing up. They fry one queen so far, not finding a lot though. And DeMusliM, his units are starting to get shaved off. More links coming out for Stephano. I feel like he's got to keep running around with these, at least keep denying that mining time. As this is going on though, Stephano not skipping a beat here, getting a link counterattack in DeMusliM's space. These Hellbats, they're starting to get on top of some drones. He's going to fry some of them up. This is such an odd situation. This DeMusliM was like, no, I'm running right by the queens. I'm not going for the attack. And he kills off a fair few drones. 5 drones, 40 lings have gone down. 1 queen. DeMusliM, he lost 12 SCVs to the counterattack though, and that really hurts the Terran player. He denied a fair bit of mining time. However, Stephano, I can't pull up an income graph since this wasn't played with the WCS Gameheart mod, but Stephano, he lost a little bit of mining time, but 62 drones already is a fantastic amount for the Zerg player. And it's concerning for DeMusliM how much, like, I feel as if that would have been acceptable, except for the counterattack. The counterattack from Stephano is just expertly done. DeMusliM, he's going into the Hellion Cyclone behind this, so it's not going to be like a standard, oh, you're behind Bio TvZ, you're in a fair bit of trouble. He might have a little bit of wiggle room to try and make something happen with this mech style that's becoming more and more common, and I'm telling you guys, I'm starting to really believe in this. I was a naysayer. I was doubting the mech, but watching GSL Super Tournament the other day, like, I'm really starting to believe in it. Banshees come on in for DeMusliM. They're not finding a lot of drones or anything so far. They might be able to pick off 1 or 2. Yeah, nicely done. Getting a bit of harassment done. That's actually very nice. Picking off a couple of drones there. Goes to hiding. Stephano, he does have a lair done. Should have an Overseer waiting, and there we go. He does. So these Banshees, they could be in trouble. One of them is going to get popped off there. The other making his way towards that third. Over, I think she's just in as much trouble here. She targets down a drone, and she goes down, taking out one of those bugs with her. Now, let's see. So one thing that is important to note here is DeMusliM, he realized that he's not going to be able to just go into like a 3-base, try and kill the Zerg type situation, so he threw up a very quick 4th command center behind this for a Terran, which I can really dig. That was before his extra factories, before his extra armory, so that's something I'm a very big fan of, the fact that DeMusliM decided to make that decision. Now he's got these Hellions and Cyclones and can probably start poking out on the map a little bit. All things considered though, Stephano, he is sitting rather pretty. Just pretty happy with this situation, or he should be. He's got Queens, Hydrazling, Banes out. Should be rather prepared as long as he doesn't take a terrible engagement, take a terrible Hellion run by. I feel as if he should be fine. Cyclone's coming on in. They're going to lock on a little bit. They can bully the Zerg a bit, but I feel as if there is going to be enough Zerg here that DeMusliM with 4 Cyclones would have to do this all day to make something really significant happen. Locks onto an individual Baneling. Now, let's see. Infestation Pit on the way for Stephano, just finishing up. We'll see if he goes that Infestor route. Maybe he'll start a Hive, maybe say Spire, something like that. You're probably not going to make Ultralisks if you go for a Hive versus this Cyclone composition, because they massacre Ultralisks, man. 800 damage, yeah, 1 lock-on kills an Ultralisk. And I had to double check that because we so rarely actually see that Ultralisks versus this Cyclone play, because you just don't do it. The Cyclones will just see your Ultralisk dead. Now, DeMusliM, or Stephano, pardon me, he is getting his +2 melee attack. Few lings, few drones, cinnamon spice, and everything nice on the way for the blue Zerg player. Meanwhile, DeMusliM, he is securing up his 4th base. He's already got it a planetary. That is very nice for the red Terran. We'll see. He might even just throw up like a 5th command center. And oh, he actually already has done that. As you just want to generally keep expanding, you generally float a few minerals when you're playing mech, so you can make that work. Here comes in these Hellions, here comes in these Cyclones, gonna walk onto some Queens for now. Stephano, he doesn't actually have that much, however, he's looking for a nice link counterattack. Can the Hellions clean this out, though? Banelings and more Hydras coming on in. DeMusliM gets a little bit caught, but he does manage to wriggle out of there. Loses a few Hellions, loses a few units, but overall, staying safe, able to keep this sort of pressure going. Banelings rolling forward. However, DeMusliM is doing rather well with this Hellion Cyclone walk-on style. And he's just got a good amount of Hellion Cyclone for now. DeMusliM, or Stephano, pardon me, is making a ton of lings, and he's getting up +3. He's got that hive done. We'll see if he starts his adrenal glands or something like that. And evolved groove spines, that's on the way. Hydras need that extra range, really helps out with dealing with those Hellions and Cyclones. But yeah, something that I feel like is definitely noteworthy that's making this mech style seem more better, basically. Like, I kind of wrote this off, and I think some other players did too, perhaps. But that was when players would say try and play it kind of like Bio, in a sense. They'd go up to the 3 bases, they'd start making Hellion Cyclone, and then they'd die. Or they just wouldn't have enough, it just wouldn't trade out efficiently enough. Whereas off the back of these good economies that players are now investing in, we're seeing DeMusliM, he got that off that very quick 4th command center. It's actually going rather well for the Terrans. I think that's the main change that's probably making this Hellion Cyclone style more viable these days. Just a lot more respect towards the macro as opposed to fearing the Zerg in the late game. And now, what are we seeing here? DeMusliM, he's still poking, prodding, denying some creeps. Stephano has made a ton of Banelings, though, guys. Make no mistake, we're currently up to 46 Banelings. He's going to cross that 50 mark. That's a quarter of his supply in Banelings, a quarter of his max supply in Banelings. Speaking of max supply, currently we're seeing 85 SCVs for DeMusliM. That number might be about to drop, though, as we're seeing these Banelings rolling on in. Stephano going for a counterattack, just rolling into this planetary SCVs. They can't repair it. Those Banelings just knock it down hard, and so many SCVs. I was just paying attention to that SCV count. Stephano, he wanted that number a little bit lower. DeMusliM, fortunately for him, he has another command center to float over. He's securing a 5th base as well, so he won't be slowed down by that too much. It's a pain, yes. However, it's not the end of the world. And, okay, let's see. These Hellions, they are chasing down those lings. They're getting their vengeance there. And by the way, DeMusliM, he's pretty much maxed out on Hellion Cyclone. He's making some Liberators behind this, so that's very good for him. But still, this is just a lot of Hellion Cyclone, and we'll see how well this is going to go for him. For now, the fact that Stephano's really leaning on these Lings, Hydras, and Banes, it might just work out for DeMusliM. We will see. Cyclones and Liberators coming on in. The Liberator's probably going to want to try and zone on out. We saw a Fusion Core go up for DeMusliM, so he can get that advanced ballistics. Liberators getting the set on us really help punish the Zerg if they try and step forward to shoo this Hellion Cyclone style away, and it's going well for DeMusliM right now. Ship weapons on the way for DeMusliM. Those Liberators, I believe you need +3 and the one-shot Hydras. Don't quote me on that. Or maybe they won't. Something like that. Anyway, oh my god, those Banelings just crashed into so many Hellions and Cyclones. That was disastrous for DeMusliM. I try and talk about one thing for a second here. And DeMusliM, he just takes a massive beating. Stephano just rolled on up those Cyclones. They're bulky. They're not the quickest, most agile units. They don't split Banelings like Marines do. So DeMusliM has a bit of a hard time there. Hellions and Cyclones still going to push on in. Stephano did lose a lot of his Banelings there. So DeMuslim's actually just going for it. Hellions engaging on in here. They're going to morph. Lings are rolling on in, but Hellbats versus Lings, they are just slaughtering them, though. The Hydras and Banelings are getting on top of the Cyclones, cleaning that out. So a bit of a crazy trade there for DeMusliM. It's tough to say. He is down on resources lost, so I guess that wasn't super cost efficient. Overall, he did trade out decently, I'd say, though. Now let's see, DeMusliM, he's still just making this Hellion Cyclone, getting out more Liberators, getting up his upgrades as well. Very important. +3 ship plating, going to help those units out, getting up that extra ship attack. Now we are seeing Stephano. He's making a few Corruptors. He's getting his 1/1 air upgrades, really getting everything he can. As a Zerg player, is very important to have all that tech at your disposal. Meanwhile, we're seeing some Liberator harassment go down for DeMusliM. Nicely done just to disrupt the economy of his opponent. Stephano, though, he's actually doing rather well with this, it would seem, with shutting those few Liberators down. That's most likely why he's making the 4 Corruptors. You generally don't make more Corruptors versus Cyclones, just because the Cyclones do so well. As this is going on, by the way, Stephano, he's the one to pull the trigger here, and he's actually attacking DeMusliM with everything he's got right now. Looks like these Hydras, Banelings, and Lings are going to be able to actually clean up another base of DeMusliM, and that's a pretty painful loss. 3 Banelings forcing these units to retreat practically indefinitely. So that hurts DeMusliM, losing another base. He doesn't have so many command centers just sitting around. He's getting up more factories, but he is going to need to re-secure that. Eventually, he's going to want to, say, get up a 6th base. Oh my god, look at all these Liberators. This is disgusting. Corruptors are coming on in here. They are going to engage the Liberators, and if you guys want to see a meme, it's Liberators trying to kill Corruptors. They actually just nope out of there because they know they can't. The Hydras, though, are going to try and catch the Liberators. DeMusliM, you got to turn those away. He is making them run away. They're rather tanky with their +2 plating. That really helps him out. Meanwhile, more Liberator harassment going down, so DeMusliM keeping that going. See, DeMusliM, he is re-securing this base here. You got to keep that going. You can't falter in your economy when you're playing this sort of style. He's getting up more command centers because eventually he is going to need an extra base. The bases are starting to mine out here. And let's see, here we see. In comes the Terran player, getting those Liberators set on up with their advanced ballistics, able to set up those circles pretty far away. Now, let's take a look here. These Cyclones are going to be able to cover those Liberators. Those Liberators just zoning out the ground, zoning out everywhere. Looks like DeMusliM is going to be retreating here. These Hydras are engaging into Liberators, though, and I think these Liberators are chewing them up. The Corruptors are coming on in, picking up those Hydras, but once those Hydras are gone, the Cyclones will slaughter Corruptors, so DeMusliM actually able to push forward. Looks like he's going to be getting a nice bit of damage done here, picking off the base of Stephano. That is now a goner. He lost a couple of Liberators there, but gets a base. Nicely done. Trades out with a good chunk of the army. Takes a very fantastic engagement. This Hellion Cyclone Liberator style seems to be working out for the red Terran player. We're even seeing those extra upgrades keep coming on in. Both these players will be approaching their 3-3 on pretty much all fronts eventually. Just wanting to keep those upgrades going. Now we're seeing Hellion and Cyclone Hit Squad move out for DeMusliM. Catches some Lings. Not a lot else to stop those there. And here comes in the Liberator zoning this section of DeMusliM. He's got to be careful. He is going to retreat to those Stephano. He is going for it, though, engaging into the Liberators. There's not too many of them, though. They are going to go down. A lot of Banelings do get shot off here. However, that is going to be pushed back, but look at this. In comes DeMusliM, hitting in multiple positions like this mech style is supposed to do. Popping off a couple of Overlords, because why not? Hellbats, preventing Lings from just cleaning this up. Even pushing back these Hydras. Looks like this attack will be cleaned up, but really making Stephano uncomfortable there. This one Hellbat fries up a Hydra before he goes down. Meanwhile, DeMusliM continuously pushing on this front. Most of those Banelings are now gone. I mean, they kind of disappeared into the face of the Cyclones there, but still, DeMuslim's able to keep pushing. Stephano has dropped down on supply as this is going on. Oh, DeMusliM, he wants that hatchery. He doesn't quite get it yet. Oh, that's painful, not being able to get that hatchery. I'm sure DeMusliM will try and get that again at some point, just trying to bully the Zerg player back. Still, supply-wise, DeMusliM is ahead. This definitely isn't all of his army. Where is the rest of his army? There it is, doing a good job keeping units back at home to defend if he needs, but wants to bring those forward now. As this is going on, though, Stephano, he's getting up a greater spire here. I mean, he's got 2, but he decides one of them needs to be a little bit greater here, and that's going to allow him to make Broodlords, which can shut down this composition. It's kind of an interesting position because the Broodlords, they're very slow units, but they do have the muscle to generally force a Terran player off. But look at that, those Cyclones, they lock onto the Corruptors, and they deal so much damage to those armored units. And look at this, DeMusliM, he is able to push his opponent back. Stephano going for a bit of a counterattack. He's not going to find too much because there is planetaries all over here, even a Liberator getting set on up. DeMusliM has found himself in a fantastic position here versus the Blue Zerg, who's just trying to hold on at this point. Stephano, he's got the Broodlords now. He's got a Viper here. Doesn't have a lot else going for him, though. He's got a ton of gas. Maybe he does need to just squeeze out some Infestors or something. I don't know if DeMusliM is going to give Stephano the time he needs to breathe, though. In comes all these Liberators, in comes all these Cyclones. the Broodlords should be able to push DeMusliM off as long as Stephano keeps an adequate buffer for them. But look at all these Liberators coming on in, getting set on up. I bet DeMuslim's just going to pick off this base and run away. And it looks like that's probably what he's going to do. Maybe he'll just keep pushing on in. But this base is definitely going down. There's no mistake about that. In comes these Cyclones still. We are seeing more Vipers on the way for Stephano, so that's where some of his gas is going. And those can help abduct units. They can help the Zerg player take very efficient fights. And in the late game with Broodlords and Vipers, you still can sort of whittle the Terran down, but the Terrans, they've just been hitting everywhere. They've just been having such good economies that it doesn't seem to matter that Zerg can take those efficient fights. And look at this, DeMusliM, he's maxed out. Stephano is not. He's actually pushing on in with the Cyclones, walks onto a Broodlord or two, transfused for nades, is keeping them alive for, though. This hatchery, on the other hand, that might not be the case. This is going to have to get transfused a lot. It is, check it into the hospital, because it is just getting blood transfusions for days. This hatchery staying alive, though. DeMusliM not able to brute force his way through there. As this is going on, though, okay, here we go. DeMusliM, he's like, all right, I've got such a good economy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make battle cruisers. Battle cruisers, not the most cost-efficient unit at times versus Zerg. Generally, Mass Corruptor, say Infestor, is very good at shutting them down. But when you do have a lead, there is room for them to be made because it just forces your opponent to react in a way. Low number of BCs do win out versus low number of Corruptors. And when there's Cyclones on the ground to cover them, that really does help out. Look at this, Stephano, he lost that base in the center. It looks like he's probably going to be losing this one. Parasitic Bomb gets tossed down on a couple of Liberators, but Stephano is going to need more than that. Liberators picking off some of the drones here. Stephano is going down on the drones now. We see Hydras picking off these Liberators. Those abducts are getting some value, but there's just so much going on. It's just Stephano, he's just not having a good time. These Hellions and Cyclones going to be running on it. There's another injured base, probably going to be a dead base in a second here. Nope, DeMusliM just drives right on by, says it's out of money, doesn't matter, busy locking onto these Corruptors. And this is just so rough for the blue Zerg player. He just hasn't been able to solidify, and so DeMusliM, he's been able to capitalize on every move he's made. And look at this, Stephano, he's got basically no income at this point. He has this base down here, which is going to help him out. But look at this, DeMusliM, he's taken pretty much every base on his side of the map. In fact, he will be once he's taken this location. Then he can start eyeing up Stephano's bases, and oh my god, 8 battle cruisers on the way at a time. That is one way to tell your opponent that you are in a very good spot. Stephano is a great Zerg player at hanging on, but DeMusliM, he's just been doing what he needs. He's not been making any major mistakes or anything like that. Oh, here comes in some Corruptors. They might be able to pick off this base. That would be nice, but once these BCs are out, it's going to be very rough for Stephano. It's going to be more BCs than Corruptors, guys, and I think at that point you're pretty dead as a Zerg player. In comes DeMusliM. Just Stephano's side of the map is looking very barren. It's just been cleared out. There's just no Zerg left, really. It's just creep is gone, bases are gone. DeMusliM still being active with this Hellion Cyclone composition. Hellions getting on and frying up some of the critical drones of Stephano. And it looks like it's just a slow death for the blue Zerg player right now. Let's just take a look. Yeah, these BCs, they're still coming out. There's 7 on the way with another 6. And that's going to be very rough. We're now seeing Stephano be like, okay, I got a lot of gas, so he's getting pathogen glands, getting out Infestors now. Might be a little bit too late, though. They will be able to help out with battle cruisers, but look at this. These Cyclones are in here, they're just picking off bases. They don't care, because look at this. The few Broodlords are not quick enough to respond to this. Spires are going down, hatcheries are going down. Even the Hive is probably going to go down if I had to take a guess. Cyclones able to work through even the most tanky building in the game very quickly. That Hive is having a bad time. And just look at the Muslim side of the map. I think Stephano is pretty dead here. He's trying to hold on. He's making more Infestors. Stephano is a tough player to kill. His Broodlords are going to clean up these Cyclones, which is a nice victory for him, I suppose. But look at this. On this side of the map, the BCs, they teleport in. Infestors are tossing out infested Terrans, but it doesn't matter. DeMusliM able to take it with that mech style, just got into a very good position, just played it out. And this mech style is rapidly evolving, guys. This is great to see. My eyes are officially open on this. Just Terrans meching it happen, dare I say. And if you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to hit that like button. And also, if you enjoyed this kind of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as I'm always casting more replays here. And it just shows that you guys enjoy it. And I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to hit that like button. Once again, thanks for watching.